going to be hanging out for a while and talking, answering your questions as well. Joe, how you doing today?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I got a little bit of a FOMO with the World Series coming up, with having a child and not going to be there the entire time this summer for the first time ever. So, that's I'm sort of figuring that all out. I'm sure you're gearing up for your Mr. World Series, man. I think you're like the poster boy for the WSOP. So you got to be getting very excited. What's
Yeah,
the plans for that coming up?
yeah, I'm pretty excited. I leave the 28th. I'll be out there grinding the whole World Series. It's like the only tournaments I really grind all year long. So pretty excited. Haven't played a lot of poker since, at least a lot of tournaments. How's the kid though? That has to be exciting. I
It
mean,
it's good, man. It's 1 month in. This is my first time like being away for a little bit, and I'm gonna be back Monday, and then figure out when gonna be there and back for the World Series. Probably go in and out. So yeah, it's great. It's really exciting, and luckily Amelia's so she's amazing with him and the whole breastfeeding thing, waking up all the time. But yeah, it's a different speed and just getting used to it. What about you, kids? Kids in the horizon down the road. I mean, are you something you would like to have at one point?
yeah, it's something I want to have, and it's almost something I want to have before, like something I want now, but it's just something I'm not like I guess ready yet in terms of the I'm getting closer, but the whole first steps, marriage and all that first. But
Right.
I'm ready to be a dad. I already signed up for coaching for soccer this summer. So
Wow.
after the World Series, teach them AYSO and get some coaching in. I don't know. I like coaching and like talking to kids and so I'm ready for the whole dad aspect. Just the whole relationship thing has to progress first.
You want to like coach his youth team and all that. You want to do it, that whole deal. I mean, I that's like, it sort of is crazy to think about that whole circle, but I mean that's what I want to do. It is fun. So I didn't know you played indoor soccer. I saw that listed as a
Oh
hobby. Do
yeah.
you play still?
I was really good at soccer growing up. Won nationals when I was younger, but that was like real young. But we won states, and seemed like everyone on my team went somewhere for soccer. Like one of my friends plays in the MLS now, and a couple went over to play in Europe. And we had a really good team, but we like broke apart. And then it was like the age where it stopped becoming fun, and it was just run, 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 and you start realizing your talents compared to everyone else. Like I was fundamentally sound, but I wasn't as gifted as some of the other people on my team.
What about I don't, because the World Series in Vegas, they do the World Cup every summer. Our USA won one year. It's been competitive. It's a lot of fun. I think it's usually the day before the main event, around July 4th. Would you be have you got to
Oh,
come play that?
I would love to play. I would love to play. I honestly, I'm not bad still. I still spend a little bit of time, but I need to get back in shape more than anything. But you know, ball son, I'm secure.
All right,
I
well
won't make
let's
too many
let's lock
mistakes.
you in for that, man. We need
All
another
right.
body or two. So that's I'll make sure get you that info. I know Timothy Adams usually sets it up. Byron Caverman pretty active organizing, but it's a blast. You got every 8 to 16 countries come out. They put their team together. They squad it like the real World Cup. It's very cool. So that'll be fun. So those of you that don't know Joe Cada, you probably do know Joe Cada if you play poker or have heard of poker. He did win the World Series of Poker main event at 2009, I believe 21, right? You were 21 and change.
Yeah.
How old? 21 and how many
Yeah, I
months?
was 21 and like I think I don't know. I mean, when I signed up, it was the whole November 9th thing, so it was like 3 months until the final table. So I turned 22 slightly after the final table, like a week after in November.
But did they technically call it you were 21 when when that World Series the
Yeah,
last
I
day
was
ended, or
21
do
when I
they?
entered and when I won. So I turned 22 like a week or 10 days after or something like that.
Yeah, I think Peter Eastgate was at currently the youngest. But I mean, it's just pretty crazy. Your first World Series, your first summer. I've been going now. I'm 32. I've gone deep, but to actually win it the first year, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's got to be. And then the whole November 9 was new. You do that, you take it down. You've won 4 bracelets now, and you final tabled the main event again last year. Took fifth, and then hopped in another event and won a World Series bracelet. Like, I mean, give us something, man. How do you do it? What are your secrets? Do you go full blown? Do you play every event? Do you take rests? I know leading up to the World Series, I think you generally like to rest and not play so much. Like, talk me through a little bit of how you prepare for your summers.
I guess I want to prepare anything extra for any other tournament I really play really for the summer. In terms of just doing well, I guess a lot of it just comes down to variance and be on the good side of things and running good. And there's so many good poker players out there where there's so many different players that this could happen to or is capable of it. So it's just part of running good and I don't know. I guess the World Series. I enjoy cash games. I just think it's more profitable to play cash games throughout the year Oh shit! Sorry about my feed.
That's all right. Listen, hey,
Right.
it's all
Uh,
good, man. That was we went into the matrix for a second, but yeah. So you're more of a
yeah.
tournament guy. Cash games are. I mean, yeah, it's cash games like in Michigan or where you play. What are you playing normally when you're not in the summer? What's like what's your
Uh,
schedule?
like I've been playing a lot of five card lately. I'm not sure if you play any five card. It's like really popular here now. It's five card Omaha. It's been big on the app I play on. Just PP poker really. There's a lot of games running. So I've been playing mostly that for the last few months. It's been taking up my time that in PLO. I don't really play a lot of two card throughout the year besides the World Series. So that's mostly the only two card Hold'em I play, and I guess just all the experience playing online and all the thousands of tournaments I've played there. And I play cash games from time to time, Hold'em or some big games, but I don't really get a whole lot of experience in throughout the year besides the World Series for just Hold'em and just say.
And what is your so like, I guess in poker, I've played a long time. I played live, I played online. I know you've had some good results online as well. You play sometimes there. What would you say though separates you? Of course you can say there's some run good or variance, blah blah blah. But man, I mean, making the November 9 or I guess making the final table, the main event twice, winning 4 bracelets. There's got to be what part of your game, what do you think separates you or gives you sort of an edge? Like, what would you say that you notice versus a typical pro or the field that you would say you kind of excel at, or some of your super strengths, live? Is there something at a certain stack depth? Are you a really great shorthand 10 to 20 blind player? Is it reading ability? What is sort of your superpowers in poker? Because obviously you're doing something differently
Yeah.
than many.
I don't know. I guess it seems like I just have a better grasp for. It's always been this way. Like live, like I've always had really good online results, but every time I played like live cash games or grinding big cash, it's live. I always had a better grasp of things and just better at exploiting certain situations, like understanding people, understanding what people think of me, my image, and how like the day progresses. So I think it's just being self-aware of how I've been playing at the table. I mean, everyone has that self-aware, but the patience and I think a lot of people try to be balanced almost too much live in these big tournaments where you're not going to be playing against these people that often. And like, okay, should I be bluffing this spot with this hand? This is the hand I want to bluff with. That's not necessarily the case. It should be like, okay, is this play going to be profiting money right now, just in this moment? Because I'm not going to be playing with this guy probably ever again in this situation. So it's not necessarily about balance. It's about what's going to really grant you the best result for the time being. I think people tried, these computer simulations and these programs that we use online to help us, grow as players and progress in the game. I think people almost take them almost too literal to a sense. We're like, okay, the computer does this every time I got to do this in this situation, or I got to bluff with this hand because it's my bluffing hand. But really, it's like you're not going to be playing with that guy again. So just do what you think is best in that situation.
Right. So, and is this? I don't want to talk too much about Sims and PO and all this stuff, but how would you say, is that something you've done work with? Like, are you pretty familiar with it? Are you, I think it's good to know that type of stuff, right? Like, it doesn't mean you have to use it, or
Yeah.
especially in, you see like, they talk about Helmuth and White Magic and how he seems to do so well in these World Series type fields, and some of the super pros and wizard sorcerers like to knock his game, but he has such good results in these spots and probably really exploits people well, uses his image to his advantage, these type of things. Is that something though, would you say you're versed in? Like, are you pretty familiar with it? Have you done some of that work, or are you sort of just literally just, you haven't dived into that web?
No, I've done a lot of work with these programs and Sims, and it's kind of fun. Me and my friends do like bets from time to time. We watch these like big games, like some of these like high rollers and some of these live actions, and he's all about like, oh, these guys know exactly what they're doing in every spot, and there's certain spots we'll bet on and run the sim and see what it says and what we think is like the ideal play or the game optimal play. But yeah, I'm always running sims. I'm always trying to figure out what the best answer is and what the best situation for that time may be. But everyone has access to these programs, and a lot of people use them. And what separates some people from others is just I don't know. It's just the circumstances, logic. It's every situation is going to be different, and you're playing with a different person every time at the table. So I just think it's just being able to adjust accordingly, and it's something I've always been good at.
Talk about walk me through a bit of There's so many unbelievable. There's a lot of questions for you. We got to save some time at the end here on Twitter, guys. We will have a giveaway as well for some tickets. Get your questions in. Hit the retweet button. We're gonna ask a lot of those at the end, but I have a lot. I hope we can get them all in. But I want to know what was your starting playing poker? Because for me, it's like we're so interested because we're similar in age. I think you're a little younger. 80. You're born November 87. I was 86. Yep. You're Michigan guy. I'm Michigan guy. I know you started playing at Windsor. I guess it was called did you start there, or was that where you started kind of going Casino Windsor at the time?
That was my first big like live play. Excuse me if I'm sweating, man. It's so hot in here in Michigan. It's been cold. The last like month it's been raining and stuff. I don't even have my air on right now. It's our first really nice day, so it's like 9 degrees in my room right now. And I'm like,
okay, no worries.
But I started off when I was probably like 14 playing online. And I was playing a lot. Like I was kind of a quiet kid in school, and I switched schools a lot, so I was like bouncing back and forth. And I was real quiet in school, and just math was something I excelled at. And I got into cards, and I told my mom, I'm like, hey mom, I was working on the table at the time. I got my first job when I was 14, so I was getting cash. And I lost you. You there?
I'm here. Hello, Joe. I can hear you.
Yo.
Can you hear me? I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I lost you. All right. I lost you for a second.
I got you. I heard you perfectly.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess it became real popular during the Moneymaker year. It just be on TV and school and everything. So everyone in school just started playing poker, and that was the thing to do. You play at the lunch table, you play after school with your friends. And I got online when I was like 14. I used my mom's name, and she let me play under her name, and I would give her money, and I put $50 on here, grind here and there. And when I was like 15, it really started taking off at like 2-4. And then by the time I was like 16, I was grinding 5-10 and 10-20 regular. And never really looked back. When I was 18, I was able to get my first, create my first name and play on UB on my own, and with my whole Cada 99 name. And that's when I really started grinding at those. I got all the way up to 5,000, and I was part of the UB scandal. I don't know how much that set me back at the time because it made me really nervous. I got all the way up to 5,000. I had like 500K in my account, and I remember I went on a downswing. I lost like 150K playing 5,000, and I cashed out all like 300K and went back to 5, 10, and 10, 20. And I remember one day I signed on, and I had actually like 60 some K in my account from UB from the scandal. But
they gave you had 60K come back to you?
Yeah, I signed on. I didn't even know it was coming back, honestly. I signed on, and it was just actually like 60K in my account.
Wow.
So I got refunded a lot of money from that scandal. And I'm not sure how much that really impacted me as a player in cash games and like my willingness to move up. Because I think ever since then, I took my shots at those stakes. Even after the main, I took, 1 or 2 shots at playing a little bit bigger. And I lost, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to chase. Like, don't chase. You don't want to get in that mindset. So I think that always kind of sent me back to just play 5-10, 10-20, and basically 25-50 is my highest I go to this day. So
interesting. Wow, that's it's pretty crazy. Did you start? Which site did you start originally? What was the first ever sites you played on?
PartyPoker was my my first site that I grinded a lot. Then the whole UIGA Act, when they shut down U.S. customers. I think I was like 16 at the time, maybe. Can't remember how old I was.
That was exactly the same.
So I was actually 19. So I was actually a little bit older at the time, but I was grinding a lot on UB. So UB was like probably my biggest money maker. Then I would say Full Tilt was my second one. There was one year where I think I won like almost every major on Full Tilt. There was only maybe, I'm not sure if there was any tournaments I didn't win, maybe the 1K on there, but I had like 580K in profit in tournaments one year. It was like my first year grinding tournaments. The first time I got really into MTTs, it was kind of funny. I was playing 25-50 with my buddy, or playing 25-50 and 10-20 at the time regular, and I was doing really well. It was on my upswing, and my roommates were over at the time or home at the time. I'm just like, hey guys, I'll sign up for this tournament. Whatever I take in this tournament, I'll split with you guys. And it was a $200, 100, or it was the 750K guarantee at the time. It was like the $200, $150, something like that.
Yeah.
And there was 4,300 entries, and I won it for like 150K. and I gave them each 50K, and we took a trip to Costa Rica. And I remember I played one of the EPTs or the LAPTs for PokerStars down in Costa Rica, and we all took a vacation. And I think that was the year I really started getting MTTs. I'm like, okay, I can play cash during the week and MTTs on Sunday, and I just started crushing.
So, man, it's those days were just unbelievable. Same thing. Put money on. Was playing 25 cent on Party. There was just the games were so incredible back then. So 2006 happens. UIGA goes down. Where were you, and how did that impact you? What happened? Did you go out of the country, start playing? Did you just take a break? What was going on for you then?
Well, I mean, I remember there's like two things. Party shut down earlier than most sites because they're like, I think, publicly traded. So they just didn't want to risk it, which was smart. So I don't really remember when that happened, when PartyPoker pulled out, because I think I was mostly playing on other sites at the time, so I wasn't impacted too much.
It was 2006. They had like those monster. They were doing that huge promotion tournament you could win tickets for. It was going to be like a 20 million. Yeah, I remember that. That was same for me.
There was one tournament on PartyPoker that I'll never forget. It was like a heartbreaker. It was like $1 million guarantee, and I was down to like the final 20 players. And I got in with aces, the kings, and got 4 flushed. I was like 18 years old, and I'll never forget that hand. I'm like, this is one of those hands you'll never forget. You know, you get in one of those dream situations for one of the chip lead spots in the biggest moment of your life, and you get 4 flush.
Oh my God, that's a crazy hand. I don't think I've ever seen that. I've never seen and just dramatically the nut. You know, the aces, kings, and you can't. It's I don't even know you probably looked it up. I would. What's the math on it? They have to make a straight, or one of the 2 flushes live, so you're like 90. What do you just pigeonhole them? What's the percentage?
Like 98 or 99 probably with the. It depends on your suits though, obviously.
But you're over.
I mean, no, it doesn't. I mean,
no, because they have 2 live suits.
The classic situation. You normally don't get in with aces, the kings, but I don't know. Honestly, tell you the truth, I didn't even have the sim at the time to run it, so I didn't even know how bad it was. I was a lot younger.
It's crazy.
But it comes full around. Main event, final table, I'm 2-outing people, so it all comes full circle.
It is. Variance is a real thing. So yeah, you go. So then 2006 happens, and you were just as business as usual. Do you remember was it impactful either way? Do you think looking back on it, was it good, different? Did it change your trajectory of where you were going, what you were doing, or just kind of continued as usual?
The whole cheating scandal, or the 2006 thing?
When the UIGA happened.
Yeah, that impacted me a lot with the whole stars thing, with the whole contracts and the whole market, and with the whole scandal, or with the whole stars and full tilt. That impacted me a lot. Of that, the whole Black Friday impacted, I think, everyone. But the whole 2006 thing, I don't think that really impacted me a whole ton. I don't think really impacted many people much. Because there's so many good sites to play on. Stars and Full Tilt was great too back then. But
that's true. That's what I meant. The Black Friday more than the 2009 when that Black Friday happened.
Black Friday really hurt because I don't play as much online. The whole grinding, you don't have as many friends play online, and it's just a whole different environment now. Just the whole contracts, everything changed with the Black Friday.
And so when you go to Vegas, you play how many other events did you play? Like, how was your summer going leading up to that? What day one did you play? Talk me through your main event journey a bit. And did you sell action at the time? Did you swap? Like, I mean, not getting too specific, but
yeah. No, I didn't sell any action. I swapped. I had about 15 or 16% swapped out for the main. So I had like 84. No, I had about like 16 or 17% swapped out. So I had about 83 or 84% myself. Just do 1 and 2%, some 3%. I was actually going to swap with Shannon. I actually I feel bad about it on his part. Like, he's a really good player. I think he's actually even better than I am. But
who did you say swap with? Who?
I was going to swap with Shannon Shore. He made it deep with me. I didn't even know that he was asking or was wanting to. He messaged me on Facebook. I didn't see it. And my buddy Tony's like, hey, Shannon was, because we were both down in like the final 40 players, final 30. And I went deep in a few tournaments with him. I'm friends with him and cordial with him. And he hit me up on Facebook, and I missed it. And then I saw him at the table, and he's like, okay, next break, we'll just see where we're at, and we can, do the numbers and we can swap. And the very next break, he didn't make it. And I was like, oh shit. So
wow.
It was kind of unlucky on his part. I just didn't see the Facebook message late enough. So, I mean, maybe it would have been less, we would have probably only swapped a little bit, but still.
Yeah. The swap, I mean, it is fun. It's fun to swap. That's a
Yeah.
great tournament to do it in and go deep. And obviously, it's great to be the one to win it. But it's nice when you have someone who goes deep and sweats. And talk about a bit. So speaking of swaps, selling, I see on Stake Kings. Obviously, I post on there. I love it. I think it's great for fans for engagement. I see you're doing some promotion. You have some of your main event up. There's trying some bidding stuff. What's been your experience with that? Have you done some posting there? Do you have stuff up for the summer or just for the main?
Yeah, I actually enjoy the whole staking website. Being part of it's fun. I was thankful that you guys and your team asked me to be part of you guys with your team last year. So it's fun selling some action and having other people involved. I like having friends and people that just want to be involved. So it's only like 5% I'm giving out. Also auctioning off 5% for most of all the tournaments. So I'm giving away about 10% of my action this year, including the main event. So that'll be fun. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I never really tried the auction at all. And I don't know what a fair markup price honestly is. Every time I sold for any tournament, like the high rollers, like I've only played about like 200Ks in my life. And even like if I sold for the 25Ks or anything bigger, I've always sold at like even money. And even if I've ever sold like for smaller stuff, I never really charge too high a markup. I never really know what's fair and what's not. So I think an auction is a really cool gadget where you can just let other people bid for it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the markup police and Sean Deeb and all these things, and like Helmuth posting at some kind of high price, but it's actually a really interesting argument because it's like as long as I think people are informed and they really get it and understand what they're doing and what they're paying and how it works, it's okay. The problem is when you have people that don't understand how it works and what they're doing, and then they just and it's like, oh, I got Joe Cada, I have Phil Hellmuth, and I want to just be the guy in there. But I think as long as like you're very open on it and explain it, and it's like especially with some of the Twitch guys, some of the bigger personalities. I mean, people would die to have a piece of you. It's fun, like it's like, but then when you start breaking it down to like $5-10 pieces, if they're paying like 500%, it's insane. But it's like if someone realizes that it's like really they're like almost just tipping you or donating with you, or they just want it that bad. Like, is that unethical? I don't know. It's like there's a line somewhere. Like if someone's paying 10x for a price, it's just like it's kind of crazy. But like you have people donating on Twitch and subscribing and gifting subs, and like it's like it just depends. I think how it's presented and how people understand it. That's I think the biggest problem.
Yeah, I see both sides of it. I mean, I give both arguments on it. I mean, I think people should, like you said, the most important thing is just being informed. If you have someone that's willing to pay that price and knows what they're doing and what they're paying for, and it's their price they're paying, it's what they're charging, it's what they want to pay for, so be it. But if you're charging people that like are not used to buying or being part of the market just because they want to sweat like of your friend or their idol of you or whatever it may be, and you're just basically taking advantage of the buyer at that point and not educating them. I know it's their part to be educated themselves, but it seems like a very slippery slope. I never like being part of that. And I always try to just tell people straight up of, this is generally what, I make on average. This is what I'm selling to you. When I sell too, my idea is selling to play the tournament. So it's like more my willingness to want to play the tournament. So I'm always selling at like even money. So when I sell for myself, most of the time it's even money. And if I sell with markup, it's because someone really wants a piece of me and they won't leave me alone. I'm like, here's a fair markup, and I'll charge that markup. And if they don't want to pay for it, then, I don't care because I don't need to sell it.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. It's a very interesting. It's really is. It's a hot topic for sure right now, and I think again, I think you said it really well, and we're on the same page there. There's always going to be people with differing opinions, but that's the end of the day how it's presented. Talk to me about your family and their thoughts, because I know. So you're at one point, I think your mother was dealing. She has some background in gaming, but it's not gambling versus poker. How did your parents feel about, hey, I'm a professional poker player? How long until they sort of saw that you were very serious and that you were like you were a winning player, you did things the right way, you were in control? Did it take long, or did they kind of just quickly shift how they felt, or did they always support you on that?
Well, it was mainly like my mom had to get past. Like my dad, he always worked overseas, and like my mom and dad were divorced, so my mom took care of me. So it's basically like my mom and my dad. My dad always trusts me. He's like really easygoing guy, but My mom, it was like she's like the angel, like, you know, not the one to punish you, just the one like make you feel bad. So I sat her down, like explained it to her really well, you know, what poker was all about, how it's not necessarily gambling. And she was around that her whole life, like being a blackjack dealer. So she saw people losing Detroit and how people would act and people pissing their like life away and just like making really big mistakes. And I had to tell my mom, you know, it's not like that. You know, I have my job on the side. I'm putting $50 online. I'm not risking it all. And just look at it like I'm going to the movies or something, or look like I'm going to like, you know, out with some friends for the night. You know, I wasn't really like a social go-getter at the time. So I'm like, Mom, pretend I went to the movies and spent $20, but I'm playing poker instead. And, you know, I'd break it down to her and I would never put more than $50 online. And she knew that because she was the one putting it online. And I was cashing out a lot. And after a while, I just started cashing out where it never really became a problem.
That's awesome. That's same way. I put 50 online several times. Exact same thing. Same time. Same. It was on Party originally. I remember it. It was just crazy seeing it. I was playing my friends' home games, 25 cent 50. Then online was cool, and I mean it was just wild times. So that's awesome though. It's good to. It's cool when you have supportive parents because it's hard for those that really are firmly against something that you love or that you feel you're good at. And I'm sure you saw that with some of your friends.
I'm so lucky with that. I'm so lucky having the mom I had and just her having that faith and trust in me. So it's a huge leg up. And it also was like a big advantage at the time I started. It's like buying a video game where no one really picked it up yet, and it's like first off the shelf, and you're playing and you're getting all this experience in while you like other people are slowly picking it up years later and years later. So it's like just the time I got into it was a big advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, right place, right time. How was that going out so talk me through your World Series final table, because it's been a while. I know there was some stories you mentioned, you joke around about 2-outer. I believe you were down to 2 blinds. Was that on towards the end of the tournament or actually at the final table did you have 2 big blinds?
For the first year I won?
Yeah.
The first year I won, I was never all in until the final table. So like I started off at day 1 seed, like the chip leader, D passed me, but I was always like double average. I was never really at risk. It was like a really just easygoing tournament. Like I never really had any scares. And then the final table, I just started getting short and short. And then I played the hand that I thought was really bad on my part. Like no one ever mentions it. Like the hand I think I played the worst at the final table. And I just played it bad and I lost the hand. I got down to like 3 or 4 big blinds after that. And I had a call off with Jack high in the big blind. Thankfully, the small blind at 7 high, and I won with Jack high, and I doubled up to like 6 big blinds. And then I shipped a few hands, got away with it. Then the small pairs, that's where all those hands unfolded after that.
Well, you got it in pair under pair versus over pair, and one time.
Yeah, like there was some history where we were down to 5-handed. So it first happened at 7-handed when I had like 3 big blinds. So once we got down to 5-handed, it was like almost like a free roll. I'm like, man, like I laddered 2 spots, only having 3 big blinds is just huge.
Right.
And I got up to 15 bigs, and Schulman opened a hand. We were playing 5-handed, and I remember earlier in the day he opened a hand on the button. He had 9s, and Ivy shit for about 18 big blinds after he opened the button with 9s, and he folded on the button. So I'm like, wow, he opened full of 9s on the button here. That's like huge information. So when he opens like 5-handed, you're like, all right, if I shove 3s, what hands are folding? I know like 9s below are folding, so my hands are basically like 9s or 10s at that point.
How many blinds did you have?
I had 15.
Okay.
And I shipped 3s, and he tanked and called with jacks. But I figured my hand was like 9s or 10s, and I was the shortest stack at that point. So I just thought it was a good spot, and he woke up with jacks, and I found a way to win, thankfully. But and then the other hand was 3-handed, the 2s versus the queens.
And how many blinds was that?
I think it was around like 30. It was a spot where Saud had both us like doubled in chips, and I saw him 3-bet even 9-handed with Jack 2 offsuit. So I knew he was like really 3-bet happy even when he has the chance. So when I raised blind versus blind, I thought he was gonna pick on me a lot, being 3-handed and having 2-1 chip lead, him being in position. So when I raised 2s, like a lot of times you play that limp strategy with like small pairs there, or you just rip it in because you don't want to be playing like post flop with a small pair like 3-handed or 2-handed with like 20 or 30 bigs. You're just going to lose the hand so often. You just want to play the pair for what it is, like face up. I got a pair, I'm playing 3-handed. You just kind of just run and ram the chips in.
Right.
So I just assumed I was going to get 3-bet so often. And I thought that was going to be the best course to make the most chips. So just raise him 3-bet me jam and him fold. And sure enough, he had queens, and he even tanked with queens for a while. And again, ran really well, but that's poker.
And wow, so yeah, you end up winning the tournament. I mean, you just got your what? You're 21 years old, first World Series. How had your success been before that in the other events? How many events were you playing a full schedule? And then was the summer going well, or what happened before that?
Well, before that, I mean, that whole World Series, I was doing really well in poker up to then. Like, I mean, it was great. It was my first time playing the World Series, and you know how these buy-ins in these tournaments. It's like, do I want to risk 100 grand or 80 grand my first year being 21 out the World Series? So, you know, I found a backer who put me in basically every 5K tournament below. He wasn't doing that well that summer, so there was a few 5Ks that I didn't play. I might have only played one, and I was playing a lot of 10-25 cash games on my own. So I was grinding the cash games out in Vegas on my own. I think I made about 80K that year playing 10-25. And it was kind of funny. Before I went out there, I told my friends, I'm like, I'm going to win a bracelet when I go out there. Like, I'm going to win a bracelet. I just had it in my mind I was going to win a bracelet. I don't know why. I was so stubborn about the fact. And like a tournament right before the main, maybe like a week or two, it was like a 1,500. There's about a few thousand players. I'm down in the final 18. I'm in the blind versus Elke. And Elke's second in chips, and I'm third in chips. And Cliff Josephy and Sheets were watching this too, because it was kind of funny. We went out to dinner, and they're doing really bad that year. And like, I vividly remember at dinner, like, Joe better win something, otherwise we're gonna get killed this summer. And there was like 8 players that we were with them, and it's my first year playing with Cliff. So for him to say that, it was kind of like shocking. Like, they just had the utmost confidence in me as I was a player for them. But anyway, to get back to the story, we were down to like 17 players, and I raised blind versus blind with jacks, and Elke 3-bet me, and then I 4-bet 5-bet jammed. So it was a huge pot. It was for the chip lead pot of the tournament with about 17 people left in the 1,500.
Yeah.
And he had ace 10 off, and the flop came 3 spades, and I had the jack spades. He had no spade in his hand. The river came a red ace, and I got knocked out like 17th place. And I think Elke ended up running kings to aces at the final table and taking like 6th. But I thought that was like my only shot at winning a bracelet in 09, and then the main event.
I just pulled it up. Yeah, you got 17th, and he got actually 13th. So it looks like
13th,
he ran
so
into
it happened way before the kings to aces. I know it because I wanted to see how he did. I'm like, he better win this tournament after that hand. And then I saw the kings to aces hand. I was like, oh man.
Well, yeah, man, that's crazy. So I am taking a trip down memory lane here. We're scrolling through the Hen and Mob guys. If you ever want to check out a very impressive resume here from Mr. Cada, and if you can check any of your players that you want to look on, it's pretty cool how you can see the history. But it looks like, so you had a 64th, you got that 17th, and then straight in. So you had 3 cashes at the summer. You're playing cash games, but the one you wanted, the 8.5 million first place. So you just knock it down, and then I mean, it looks like you weren't playing a ton of tournaments. You didn't have a.
No, I played a lot of cash that year. I played a lot. I played probably maybe like 10 to 15 events, maybe a little bit less. I had about like 2 or 3 cashes. So I only played about like 10 or 15 events, maybe 1,500s and 1,000s, and I played a lot of cash games during that summer.
So
I didn't have that great of success.
But you swapped a bit, but you were staked during that period for tournaments.
Yeah, I had 49%. So I swapped 1% with my friend during the main, and then I was staked 50-50. So I had 49% of the main that year.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, there you go, guys. Talking about staking and such, it's very common. You know, there's just a piece on CNBC. I took part in that, talking about it, but it's pretty cool. Staking, backing, buying pieces. It's a lot of fun. I mean, talk about how much action you buy. Do you do sweats? Do you do any staking deals? Do you like to buy pieces? Like, the World Series main it's the most fun. I mean, it's like the fantasy draft, right? They're like, you get to fire, you get 5 pieces of this guy, 20 here, you buy it, put a guy in there. I mean, I do a little bit of that. I've had some fun sweats at the main event final table. I got one. And it's really fun. Have you had any sweats yourself that have made the final table?
I've done a lot of pieces, a lot of staking, a lot of swapping, and a lot of buying, and I haven't had a whole lot of sweats, to be honest. My friend George is the king of it. Like, I've never seen anyone run so better in my life in terms like, he had the main event like winner like 2 years in a row, basically, or like second and first, and then he had the millionaire maker. He had like the guy's probably up like $10 million in staking.
Wow.
It's unreal.
He's got like that magic touch where you just want to give him a piece just because for the extra run good. He knows Koontz, right? Jason Koontz and you, is that George?
He had like, I'm not going to give any names, but he had 70% of one of the guys that finished in the top 3 one year. So I was like, how do you have 70% of someone? And then the previous year, he had like 40% of the winner. So he had like 70% of like second place and 40% of the winner 2 years back to back.
That is ridiculously. That's unbelievable. That's probably the greatest stake, the greatest record I've ever heard. I mean, I guess it depends on volume. Is he doing 1,000 guys in the summer? I would imagine not. So he probably is running really good, but I'm sure he's got a handful.
No, that's the thing. He's only had a few people, and he doesn't even do it that often anymore. He buys pieces, but he doesn't do it as much as he did in the past. And even in the past, he only had a few people, so he really hit potluck with that.
That's crazy. So, all right. So I'm scrolling through. We see you played in 2009. You signed you got the deal with Poker Stars at the time. You were with them for a while. You had some other good results, but again, it doesn't look like you were playing from 2009. I'm looking at your Hendon Mob 11, 12, not that. Well, you're not playing that many tournaments. 15, 16. When did you? It looks like 2017. You fired hard. 18. Obviously, you had probably one of the most, if not the most impressive summer in terms of shock value, final table in the main again, and then hopping in another tournament. I remember being deepish with that in you, and you took it down. So what were you doing? Have you taken summers off for the World Series and then just kind of got back into the tournament poker the last couple of years, or have you found a relove with tournaments? Like, where do you stand with that?
I mean, just I wouldn't say I would take summers off. I haven't really taken any summers off. There's summers where I don't play as many tournaments as others. Like, I don't know. I guess it just depends how I'm feeling. I don't really set too lofty goals. It just comes down to like how I'm feeling, what I want to do that day. I play a pretty packed schedule in terms of WSOP, like no limit hold'em events. Like I don't dabble in the mixed games or any of those tournaments. And then when it comes to like the big buy-ins, the 100K, I've only played that 1 year for the WSOP. I think that was in 2016. No other year have I played the 100K. It just seems so steep, seems aggressive. Where I don't know. I guess I'm not that good at networking. So if it's easy to sell, it's a little bit easier to play. But I don't want to take that big of a buy-in myself. So
for sure.
I don't know. I guess it depends. Some years I don't really like playing the super steep buy-ins. Just because, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of like stress that I don't really need.
Right. What I see, so you are playing the 100K and the 50K this year, and you do have that up on Stake King, so that's pretty cool. How much is available there? It looks like 50.
The 100K, I'm not sure if I'm playing this year or not. Like, I guess I'm gonna see how the year goes or the summer goes first. The 50K I'm playing for sure. The 100K, probably not, unless it's a really good summer.
Yeah, I want to play the 50 badly. I'm probably going to fly in for that. And that should get a lot of big turnouts. Also, the 50th World Series of Poker. It's the summer of FLOWBOUNTY, as we all know. And, it's going to be, I'm sure you saw that Randall Emmett stuff with the 50, pretty crazy situation. But it just seems like that'll get a lot of people. It's also like, that one's a really good structure, right? It's like 4 day. I mean, it's like you get to play.
Yeah, 4 days. Man, I apologize, man. It's so hot in my house, man. This is the first really nice day of like the year. Like it's 80, 90 degrees, and I honestly have to turn on my air because I can't believe I have it off right now. My bedroom's the hottest room in the house, so I'm just literally sweating my.
Do you want to turn? Do you want to take? Did you want to go fire it on?
Huh?
You want to turn it on?
Do you care if I?
No, take a second. I got it.
Honestly, it is roasting my house right now.
Go get it. I'm gonna take. I'll use the restroom for a second, guys. Hang tight. If you got questions, go retweet on Twitter. We have $233 tickets from Party we're giving away. I think we got to do the Koontz giveaway as well. I got to get the competition agency up. Let me see here. We got to get the retweets for today. If you guys want to ask your questions, far away. I see Amelia in the chat. That is my lovely wife, who I miss very much, and she's with our son Joseph. We didn't name specifically after Joe Cada, but great name, and he's in great company, so that's exciting. We'll let you guys check that out. I am going to be right back. I'm going to use the restroom quickly. We're going to take questions. We're going to talk more with Joe. We'll be right back. back. We got air conditioning.
Oh yeah, sorry about that, man.
No, we're fresh. Don't worry. I had to use the restroom. All good. We got questions teed up. We're no rush. You can always take breaks. I figured we left off. We were talking about the 50Ks, 100Ks.
Oh yeah, 50K.
What's your guess on the field size in the 50?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'd probably say I'm gonna guess 180 entries.
I think it's going to be a lot for some reason.
You think it's going to be more than that?
Some reason I think it's going to be way bigger. I know some people that shocked me even that like poker, but they're a bit more business type, or not even business, but they're just not like, they were just like, yeah, I think I'm going to play this. And I was like, wow, really? And also I just think, again, because it's a great structure, it's kind of early, it's fun, it's the 50th, it's the WSOP 50 year. I just kind of think people are, it's like I remember they did the 40K. You remember that special 40 edition?
You're probably going to be right too. Especially at the time of it, they have it at the very beginning, so it's going to be easy to sell for. And I think just it being at the beginning, no one being stuck really, and being easy to sell for, and just being the whole 50th, and then the whole re-entry thing, that should get like 40 entries there, 30 maybe.
Yeah, so. There's also Bitcoin doing fairly well. I mean that I don't know. I think it matters a bit. People in poker, a lot of crypto enthusiasts, a lot of people in there, and I mean it's kind of it's from its low point over doubled in the recent month. I think that matters slightly too. You probably have some people that are feeling a little better. So I don't know. We'll see. But either way, it'll be a great event. I think I am gonna have to get out there for it. I know Koontz was talking about going or thinking about it too, and it just seems like it's a reasonable size to win too. It's a reasonable field size. Of course, you have to beat all the best, but there is some value in there too, and I mean it should be fun. What's your most fun events? You play mixed games, don't you?
No, I don't play mixed games. I just play PLO and No Limit. I think my favorite event, even though I've not had a single cash, and it's kind of frustrating me. You played me one year in that, the 10K heads up.
Oh yeah, that was a great that match hurt too.
This very optimistic bluff against you that didn't work.
Yep, but you still got it done.
Yeah, I held back. I ran good.
Yeah, that event's fun. Man, the World Series is, I think it's the last year at the Rio, too, I believe. I thought someone said that.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure it got bought. I think they're leveling it, truly, and it's interesting where it's going to go. I was talking with Bill Perkins the other day, and he wants to do a 10K 100 mil guaranteed. He's thinking about doing some stuff with that. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think you could hit? Do you think it would hit in poker? Because I guess it would be, you'd have to find the right venue, the right time, and you make it like I like the idea of the freeze out, not a re-entry, but per day you could play once, maybe like 3 starting days for 100 mil guaranteed 10K. That'd be pretty sick.
That would be sick. I've always said this for the longest time. They should make like one giant global tournament where wherever the buy-in may be, like so many different starting days. Like say there's a starting day in North America, there's a starting day in South America, and then after day 3 or day 4 or whatever it may be, you combine the flights. So there's one location everyone flies to, and it's just like a giant field. I think that'd be awesome. It's
a great idea. It doesn't seem that crazy. They've done a lot of creative stuff, a lot of big guarantees. There's been phases and stuff too. Start a tournament in January and kick it off at a year later. Have the final table or have it come down to the final 40 or final 50 that are, they lock up the money they got and you ship them to Vegas for now. They got the HyperX and these things are doing with WPT, something like that. I mean, that would be, you want to get big prize pools, big excitement. There's nothing better than getting 100 million or 50 million prize pools together. Who cares? You could, if you ran it every year, you could literally have it cycling. Every year it cycles. It just seems like a logistical, that's the problem, trying to get it all mapped out, but I think it's doable.
Yeah, I think the only 2 companies that could do it is PartyPoker Stars, because they have the capability of doing it. Just what they could reach out to, just networking really. Just
and run the satellites too. Yeah, satellite it in. I want to know more about the cruise line. We've talked about this, and explain to me how many years you've been doing this, and what's the story with this? You seem to love it. I know you've had great results, and it just seems like a lot of fun. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's I started 6 years ago. I got invited. It was associated with Harrah's and Caesars because they're part of Norwegian. They have like a partnership. So I got introduced to Norwegian. It was the first time they were having a poker series, and they didn't really know how to run it. So a lot of it was me helping them with tournament structure, buy-ins, rake, guarantees, and just everything like that. And after the first year, it went so well. And every year we've been continuing to grow a ton. And it's just like every year I go, I'm just like, I can't miss it. It's so much fun. You meet so many good people, and it's everyone that doesn't like, it's all like just cruise goers and like business people. So a lot of like the cash game action or even the bigger action, everyone's having fun. It's just a good environment. And Reese went one year, he final tabled it. And when he went, he's like, I'm never missing this again. And I told myself the same thing every year I go, I'm like, I can't miss this. And I don't think there has been one year I haven't made at least 20K on the ship. And last year I chopped their main event for like 80K. So this year it should be even bigger. It should be about like 120K for first. So it's pretty good.
How many entrants is it, and what's the price point?
They have 1,100 buy-in. That's their main event. And we're going to make it a re-entry this year, one re-entry. And they get about 600 players for it, 500 to 600.
600 people on the cruise play the tournament?
Yeah, they'll get about 500 to 600 players for it. And then they have a $2,500 buy-in. They have a $500, a $200 rebuy, and a $100 rebuy.
And how it rate? Because I've been on one cruise in my life. It was in college for spring break, and I forget what it was, Caribbean or something. I'm sorry, this is Norwegian. And where does it leave? How long is it? Give me some more details, because I really
this year we leave out of New Orleans, and we're going to the Western Caribbean this year. It's Belize, Cozumel, and Honduras. And they own their own island in Belize, so they do run these parties like to give back to the players, and on their islands they own the island. So like this year they separated everyone into different teams, like purple team, red team, blue team. They have like tug of war events, like beanbag events, like all these different events where you compete as teams and you win like pretty cool prizes and raffles. And then they have like a DJ, and they host like a big buffet. I mean, they really give back. They do a great job, and every year I'm really impressed, and they continue to grow.
And I'm sorry, the one more time. The date is it's in November?
December 2nd to the 9th, I believe.
Okay, I think that might be during that 20 million on party. I'm not sure. Is there internet? How's the internet on there?
The internet's not bad. I've been trying to get them to stream, but or Twitch it, the final table, but it's something we're still working on, and it might end up happening with the delay, because I don't know how good the internet is there.
Well, listen, if you need a Twitch guy, I might know someone.
Yeah, I told them about you. They're really interested.
I like it. I mean, honestly, I'd have to double check. I want to go. I want to go badly. I just think that might be right during the party big millions thing online, but.
Mizrachi took he took second in the 2,500. He went last year, and I remember it was during the whole Belmar, and I think in the middle of the cruise he went to the whole Belmar for like the day, and then flew back and met us at a different island or something.
Oh, he like hopped off the cruise path and got back on it.
Everyone's like, yeah, we're not going to see Mizrachi again. There's no way. And then sure enough, he made it back on the boat somehow. I'm like, wow, he made it back.
Wow, that's really cool. We'll talk about it afterward. I do want to check that out. I want to shout out Matt Barnes in the chat. My wife, Amelia, she's watching Joseph at home. Speaking of Joe, some other people checking in, guys. We appreciate it. If you want to get your questions in, get them in now, because we're getting up. Pretty soon we're going to go through. We'll run over a bunch of those that are on Twitter. Also Instagram, some interesting questions. So we'll take a look at that. What other places have you gone? Do you like to travel a lot? Do you go around? Have you done non-poker related trips with, you said your girlfriend now of 4 years?
Yeah, we did Hawaii not too long ago, before the last World Series. We went to Hawaii for about a week and a half. I've done a lot of trips. I've been to over in South Africa, Brazil I went to, Philippines. So nice. There's been a lot of cool different trips that aren't poker trips that I've been on.
That's awesome. How is your girlfriend with, speaking, like, I think it's funny to see how like Sean Deeb telling to Negreanu about betting on their marriage and like betting on relationships. When people talk about relationships in poker, you talk about parents in poker, relationships in poker, you hear it's a hard way to make an easy living. You make your own hours, but there's challenges with playing in poker, and having balance is super important. But there are some late hours, long sessions, traveling, being away, some certain spots, depending on your spouse or significant other, what they're able to come with or not. So how has that been? Have you had any? Has that been something you guys deal with pretty well? I'm sure she's supportive of you, obviously, but is that how have you dealt with that? Do you have any tricks or any suggestions, tips for people out there, and that you've learned over the years?
I guess I'm still trying to look for the tips and suggestions from other people, but we have our battles just like any other couple when it comes to traveling and playing. But she's thankfully really supportive and easygoing about everything. I don't travel a whole lot. There's some people that travel everywhere, every EPT, every tournament, So I mostly just go to some of the ones that are closer, the ones that are easy drives, maybe smaller buy-ins, but whatever. It's just close by tournaments and, the Florida trips, the Bahama trips, and the World Series. So I don't really do a lot of whole international traveling or a lot of big traveling. But the World Series is tough just because I'm gone for a month and a half, and she has her full-time job, so she can only make it out there a few days. But we did a different charity event that was nearby in Ohio or Illinois, sorry, and she won her main event seat. There was like 125 people, and it was a charity event. She won the seat to the main event this year, so she's playing alongside me for the first time.
That's amazing, dude. That's really cool. My wife has played in a charity event as well. I remember she laid down kings pre-flop in a spot and got shown a bluff, and it was I was like, she's probably watching me play too much, play too tight. But yeah, I'm looking at your pinned tweet. This is hilarious. This is from your girlfriend about a hand history review and saying what he has, and then with top two and guy has trips, and it's like she obviously knows how to play and has some good understanding. That's gonna be fun. She's got to be amped for the main event.
She's excited. We just took a trip to play an MSPT event. It's 1100 over at Battle Creek. First place was like 258K.
I saw that.
My buddy won it. He won back-to-back events, 2 back-to-back MSPT events. So I'm so happy for him.
That's amazing.
Finally his breakout year. He's a really good player. So
what's his name? I did see that. I was watching a little bit of the final table. It was on Twitch.
Chris Moon is his name.
That's awesome, man. Congrats to him. That's sick, dude. There's a lot of people then to win that much. There's that 1,000 plus entrants.
1,600 players or something. 1,600.
Crazy.
Pretty good.
Crazy, man. Michigan's got some game. I think Michigan's one of the stronger states in poker. I mean, there's a lot of great players, some great results, and there's also games. There's some decent games and home games that people play in casinos. There's some action. What's the big game going now? Is in Motor City or one of the places has big PLO they spread or what?
They used to have some big PLO games, and it was MGM had a big PLO game. It was 25-50 no game. Basically no max game for a while, and the game got out of control a lot of times. But being in Detroit and just the situation in Detroit, the game kind of got moved and kind of stopped running. There's been some issues down there, like security issues. There's some people have had some issues in the past, myself included, also a friend, like getting fouled after the game and stuff like that. So it's kind of sketchy going down there and playing really high stakes, so I kind of try to avoid it.
So all right, so that, and the other thing it's interesting to hear the Michigan games, because what were you playing at Casino? Or it used to be called Casino Windsor. That's when I was there, I guess around the same time as you. And what about Caesars Windsor, Casino Windsor? What were you playing there, and when did you start going there?
Yeah, I think I missed Phelps by a little bit because he used to play in that game, I heard. But they had when I was 19, they had a 10-20 no max game in Windsor.
That's what I played. That's where I met Mike at the poker table there. That's how I know him.
Yeah.
Met him at it was Casino Windsor. We were playing 1-2, and then we would hop into 10-20. And I actually met Mike where I didn't know he swam or went to Michigan or anything. I was just there, and then we started talking. He was like, I went on vacation, and I came back, and he was like, oh, why don't we drive up together? And then he came and picked me up, and then we went up and played. But yeah, I remember that 10-20 game. Wow, it was 600 minimum buy-in. That was how I used to buy in. I'd sit down, and then guys would sit with 10 grand, 20 grand. I remember CD, Sleepy Mike, Parvez, rest in peace.
Do you remember Sleepy Mike?
I know everyone, man. Adrian, the Russians, Marco, Ryan Rapaski.
All those guys, man. Wow, long time.
Yeah, Ryan Rapaski and Chad Pikinen. Those are my boys I met there as well.
There's also a Doc that used to play in that game too.
Yeah, Alan Keating. That's where I know
Mm-hmm.
Alan from. He's playing some high stakes and does
So
well
I
in
met all those guys in that game.
Yeah, I wonder if we ever played together. I don't remember though.
I don't
Must
think
be
we have.
we wouldn't have. I would have
I don't
remembered.
remember you, really. I remember Rapaski and Keaton and Sleepy Mike and Doc and all those guys. I played in that game about a year and a half, then it stopped running. It broke. It eventually died. I remember I got in trouble. They wanted to get me for money structuring coming back one time because for a while it just didn't make sense to like keep exchange that kind of money and bring it back and forth across the border. So I made a Canadian account and I just keep all my money in Canada for a while after the game. And one day I came back. I only had like 6 or 7K on me, but I had the receipt for, my Windsor account. I had probably like 100K for it. And they stopped me at the border and they searched me and they saw that I had 6K or 7K and then they saw the receipt. So they wanted to get me for purposely bringing back under 10K at a time for money structuring. And they held me for like 4 or 5 hours. And every time I crossed the border, it was just a nightmare after that. So I soon kind of stopped playing in Canada for a while.
Yeah, that's man. That's that was the spot though. I do good memories there. Good time. I would. It's that city. It was fun to go out as well. Be 19. There was a big bar scene, big nightlife kind of at the time. I think some plants went away, automobile stuff, and it kind of dried up a bit, and the whole area sort of fell down a bit. But it was good.
Used to play at that casino, I believe.
Who's that?
Windsor. Daniel Negreanu used to play there, I believe.
Okay,
If I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I was told that from people.
Yeah, he was a Toronto guy, and I think that area not too far, and he would come up, and I'm sure, he was in that area as well, playing sometimes. So yeah, no, it's got some history. I know Caesars took it over, and I've been back very rarely, maybe like twice in the last 4 years or something. But I don't know. I don't think there's that much action going there. But that was one of my first scores too, like $500 buy-in tournament. They had decent multi-table tournament there, and they would spread, and it got decent turnout. I want to ask you about HUDs. Do you use HUDs online? When you play, do you use PT4, Hold a Manager, any of that stuff? What are your thoughts on that?
I have before. Not really. Not typically.
What's your table? How many tables do you like to play when you play online?
It all depends. I mean, I don't play as hardcore as I used to. I mean, it depends what I'm playing though. Like heads up, I'm playing way less tables. I'm playing like 2 tables, 3 tables, 6-handed. I'm playing maybe like 4 or 5 tables. If I'm playing MTTs, I can play up to like 15 tables, 16 tables. So it depends on the game really. The shorter the handed, less tables. But
makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting because it's also format too. Are you playing like turbos, hypers? You mix in some 6 maxes and stuff, and it gets kind of crazy. If you're playing 9 max regular, for sure, you can definitely add a few more. Without HUDs, it's a bit tricky. I know Party Poker's removing HUDs very quickly here. It's kind of stirring
awesome. Up. Good for them.
Yeah, it's stirring up the pot a bit. I think it's going to be a big net positive. It's a little bit of it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I think it's going to be complicated a little on that for everyone, but at the same time, I think it's kind of cool, the idea and how they're trying to do it and neutralize that playing field with that. And I think overall, it's probably gonna be a positive. Just it'll take a bit of time to get it sort of ironed out and everyone to be comfortable with it. And you have the pros and people that are really dependent on it and love it. They're gonna be a little tilted about it, but I think overall it's good. And I think obviously the longer we can preserve poker, it's great with. There's sims, there's these things, there's solvers, there's all stuff that kind of scares people. I think if we can kind of find ways to neutralize that or pause it or make people feel more comfortable, it'll be good. I mean, USA is a huge sweat. Michigan, what about Michigan? I mean, that bill was like passed.
Yeah,
like you were counting your eggs before it was hatched, right? You're like, oh, we're going to be back on. It's happening. I know I got lobbyist friends. They said it's a done deal. They were like, it's going to be done. It's going to signature, and then it didn't go down. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised just being involved with the whole lobbying and the whole charity poker rooms and seeing it firsthand, just the way the Michigan and the casinos and everything is here. Everything's so shady when it comes to politics. So
yeah, there could have been a drop off, some sort of Sheldon. As long as Sheldon Adelson's still kicking, I think it's he's been a huge detriment for that, and kind of bizarre even how it all goes down with him and what works. But it's just weird that was like literally a done deal. It passed heavily, but the good news is West Virginia just passed. I heard Michigan will be back on it's on the ballot, and the new head governor I think is very pro, and it looks like it's going to pass. So it could just be a slight delay. Not like when it happened, I was like, oh shit, it's going to be another 5-10 years. My dad loves playing online. He was like very excited. You got people who just want to pass the time, watch sports, play a tournament or two, and on a regulated site. It's just crazy.
It'll eventually happen. I think that's really cool what Party Poker is doing, though. I see no negative side about no HUD. I mean, if anyone's complaining about no HUD, those guys are eventually gonna, get used to playing without a HUD. Like, they're professional. Most professionals are the ones that are using the HUDs, and they're not gonna quit playing because they're told not to use the HUD. So I think, plus it's like, why are you relying on the computer? Just play the game. Just rely on yourself. It's more fun that way.
I agree completely. I think the only, people are kind of used to it. I think, when you're multi-tabling, the thing is on Party, for example, they have a really cool feature where you just click and it's the big blinds. And that's like, a HUD is nice to show you. That's like the feature I use the most is like a color coordinated big blind.
I was watching your stream, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was watching your stream, and that's the first time I saw where you're like raised to like 7.2 bigs, and it was like literally like the chip counts weren't even there. It was just all in big blinds. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I've never seen that like before.
Yeah. And that is a feature they have, and it's just like it's no software. You can either double click on the thing and change it either way. Like when I have PT4 up, it shows. But that's what I was saying on HUDs. That's generally the thing that's the most important is knowing how many big blinds, right? Whether you're 3-betting or flatting or what you're like. So you start looking at the other stats. Like it can help a bit, but generally it's not too much. And the funny part is I actually had one of my bigger online scores in a while when I had power failure, crazy stuff was happening. I came back on and it just wasn't working. I got a new computer. How the license was, it wasn't up. It was like because they're showing like trial version on it, and I just didn't run it. And I had a huge score. Was playing for a big. I final tabled was 190 to first, and on the 5K buy-in and was and I wasn't using one. And it's like I was just like I don't really need it. I just want the big blind. So I think people are gonna calm down with it, and I think it will be really cool, and I think that's gonna help a lot. All right, well, let's see. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. We'll talk a bit more, and then we'll answer some questions. I don't know if you've gone to Twitter at all. I can sort of scroll. Let's see.
Yeah, I haven't been on Twitter in a few years. Me and Twitter had a little disagreement, or I guess not really a disagreement. Just I don't know. It's stupid how their thing works. I got like a new phone, and I went to go log on my Twitter and. I typed in my name and password, and they're like, "Oh, what's your old, email address?" And when I had Twitter, it's like my agent made it for me back in the day. So you need Twitter, you need this. I wasn't really a big social media guy, and I'm like, okay, so he made my, my Twitter for me, and I don't remember the old email address that was used. And I've contacted him, and I've contacted Twitter, and I wrote them messages like, "Hey guys, I have everything. You guys, I have my login, I have my password." And I can provide my details, my license, my everything. Like, how can I get back in my account? They're like, you need your email address. So I'm like, so without my email address, I'm doomed. And that was basically that. So I haven't used Twitter since.
Wow, that's pretty insane. I mean, that's not a great review, guys. I'm trying to see that. Twitter is probably the one I like it for poll questions. I like it for the retweet giveaway stuff and get some information out. But yeah, it's not my favorite of all the socials, but we are going to take advantage of it. We're going to go over it and let's knock through some of these questions and see what's going on here. So we got Chris Robinson asking, how much luck do you need to make the final table of the WSOP main event, given the size and field, the deep stacks, and the number of days of play? So what's your thoughts overall? I mean, what you've done is kind of an anomaly to win it in final table as well. I mean, that's in a lifetime, that's going to be better than almost probably in the top 0.01%. I'm the only, especially with the big field sizes now. How do you feel about that? How would you say, like, how much luck goes into that? Obviously, a lot of skill being deep stacked, getting to play 2-hour levels, but how do you rank that in terms of luck?
Variance is always a huge part of poker. What I would say the odds of making the final table was there's like 7,000 people, and then 9 or 10 make the final table. So like no luck involved, probably 1 in 700. So with skill, maybe like 1 in 200, 250 or something odds of making the final table at the main. So I mean, you get 40 shots in my lifetime, 50 shots in my lifetime. So generally on a lifetime, on averages, you shouldn't even be making it if you're only making it 1 every 250, and twice in 10 years. Again, like I said, got to run good.
Yeah, we might live forever. Well, it's either us or our kids, I think. So we might get it could average out. I don't know if we'll get 250 pulls at it. But yeah, that's nice to get 2 under your belt in the first 10 years.
Yeah,
not bad. Which is your favorite, most interesting hand during the run this year? I guess this year, as in the last year's main event. Maybe talk about like a memorable hand from each of those WSOP final tables.
I think the king queen of clubs hand is the most memorable, only because like in so many different ways. Because for the people that don't remember, it's one of the very last hands before I busted out that I won. It was the biggest pot I played for the main event. It started off, it was 5-handed, and Johnson opened under the gun, like smallish, and we're playing about, I think around 40-some big blinds. We're in the big blind with king queen of clubs, and we defend the big blind, and the flop comes 6-5-3 one club. And he checked, and I checked to him. And the only reason I didn't 3-bet that hand pre-flop, one, it's like, with that blind structure, you don't really want to get jammed on ever or get forced off your hand. It's just, I don't know, it's a good hand to be playing, you know, having some good defend hands in your, you know, in your range.
Right.
But anyway, the flop comes 6-5-3. I checked him. If he would have bet like 60% or 70% or even like 45%, I would probably just let the hand go. But he bet on the smaller side. It was around like 30%. And that range is my board in the big blind. You know, you could have so many different ranges from that, a 3-5-6 board. I guess
it was
6,
1
7.
club.
Yeah, 1 club.
Okay.
So given that bet size and knowing that, you know, if a turn comes a king or a queen, he's liable to bluff those cards. If it comes like a 4 or 7 or a deuce, you know, I could win the pot different ways. If it comes a backdoor clubs, I have outs. So I just, with him betting 30% in my hand still with 2 overs, backdoor flush draw, and possibly representing the straight in the future, depending on how the action goes, I decided to peel and float. And the turn brought a 3 of clubs. So it came 3-3-5-6, 2 clubs.
Yep.
And I have about 20 million, and the pot's about 7 million. So it comes down to like, okay, if I check and he bets, like, what kind of line can I take in this hand? It would just seem really bad to like check call again with king high and a flush draw, and then just, if he is bluffing, then just lose like on the river to ace high, like not being able to bet if I miss clubs, or even if he isn't bluffing, if I make my club, what am I going to do? Lead into him. So on the turn, the action became a little bit tricky where the board was 3-3-5-6, and now I'm like, okay, if I lead into him, I don't expect to get raised too often here. I kind of like freeze the action. If he has a made hand, he's just going to call, obviously. He's in position. And the only hands I could see theoretically getting raised by is maybe like, I don't know, jacks, 10s, or aces possibly, which would suck getting forced off my hand at that point.
Right.
But I just feel like so often I'm going to either win the hand or he's just going to call. Just because either A, you know, I either have a made hand, or B, I'm bluffing. And if you're bluffing, you know, they want to call you in position and let you keep bluffing. So I led the turn. I bet 5 million to 5.1 into 7. So it's hard to raise without him committing himself. And so I only have 15 million left, or 20 million left. I might have 25 when I had that, when I made it 5 million. And he tanked forever, and he min clicked about 10.3 million. At that point in time, I'm like, okay, what hands is he raising at 10.3 million here? Like, if he has aces, jacks, or 10s, I mean, I could hit, you know, he could have kings or queens, but I have a king or queen in my hand. Like, why is he raising so small on such a draw heavy board? The board's 3-3-5-6. So it's either I have a 3 in my hand, or I'm bluffing with some type of equity.
Right.
And if I have a 3 in my hand, why is he going to raise min and, you know, just basically get it in, almost drawing dead against a 3, or even a straight, or, you know, a boat? And if I don't have a 3, it's like, why is he forcing me off my bluffs? Right. The only hand I could theoretically see him having for value is something like ace-3 suited, where he's kind of almost like pushing me to the initiative to put it in almost, or give action. And other than that, it didn't make sense to me. So I'm like, okay, what's the best way to play? Should I jam here? Should I call here? Folding was out of my option because I thought he was kind of folded at that point. So
Right.
it came down to like, okay, what's going to net me the most profit here in the long run, and how should I play this? So I talked myself into it. I'm like, okay, if I call here and I hit a club or a king or a queen on the river, I'm checking. If it comes like one card is straight, I can bluff. And if it comes brick, then I might find in my heart to check call. Honestly, I thought a majority of his range was like 7-8 of clubs, 7-9 of clubs. Like, I don't know. I was kind of like, not clubs, but 7-8, 7-9, like open enders, like ace-4 sometimes. I don't know. It was really confusing what he could have in that spot.
Yeah.
I elected to call, and just because if I jam and he did have it, then I'm screwed. I'm just, there's no point in jamming. It didn't make a lot of sense for me to jam, because if he's bluffing, I can make him fold the rivers on bluffs.
Right.
Anyway, the river came a 2. So I put one card of the straight, and I tanked forever. And honestly, in my heart, I wanted to check call the river so bad. If it was online, I would have contemplated. It seems kind of weird with king queen there, but it just didn't make sense to me. And I ended up taking the line of jamming. And right after that jam, he folded. I ran into my rail. I'm like, man, I should have check called the river. You know, I'm almost 100% positive it was good the whole hand. And it was just a really big hand. It was the biggest pot of the main, and it was just a really interesting the whole the line from both of us, mine and him.
And what did he have, or didn't?
He had Jack 10 offsuit.
Wow, sick.
So, yeah, it was an interesting hand.
Very sick. Yeah, those hands are. It's crazy, you know, when you start thinking about lines and hands, and I think that's one thing. I've been working on my game a lot and just thinking about spots differently. And it's easy to look at hands where you're even talking about hands you got an under pair, but or spots where it's just standard stuff, right? You're going to get in, you're going to get cooler, things are going to happen, you're going to run. But the hands where there's those are big differences in how you take a line, how you play, how you get max value, putting people on their range and what you're doing. So, I think that's interesting because it's a lot of times that's where the poker's won and lost is it's never really the last hand. It's just, that's when people start talking about bust out hands, it's all right, what about all the other spots? What about all the other lines? What about all the spots you missed value or you got the minimum or you made a bad call, and they got you short. So I think that's really, it's interesting and to think about as a player when you're talking hand histories, talking tournaments, reviewing, and it sounds like you have a really great network of friends and people you talk tournament poker with and you learn and you're looking and you're plugging spots and you're getting different options. So I think that's cool. I think that's something you do a lot.
If you ever tell my friend you bust out, he always goes, well, you should have more chips. And that's what he always says. Anytime you tell him bust out, so he just goes, you should have more chips.
Yeah, that answers it. That's usually the right answer. It's right. Actually, before I forget, Koontz, so card collecting. Jason Koontz. I've become very friendly with him. I like him a lot. And he obviously had that $1 million score plus in January in the Bahamas. People confuse him with Jason Koon, but it's Jason Koontz at Otia. And he had some action up on Stake Kings as well, which is pretty cool because people were buying him thinking he was Jason Koon. I think you swap with them. I swap with them. And, he ended up having a big score for us. How do you know Jason, and do you collect any sports memorabilia, cards, stuff like that?
No. Funny story how I met Jason. First off, he plays in he did play in the big game at MGM when they had it for PLO. So he knew a lot of the same guys I knew, and I was at a Michigan game, and funny story, I had a friend, a lot of people know, Craig Varnell. He's a local grinder.
Is he from Michigan?
No, he's not from Michigan, but he's a huge Michigan fan. His dad grew up a big Michigan fan. He grew up in Colorado, but he just grew up being a Michigan fan. And forever on his bucket list was to go see the Michigan play.
Okay.
So he came to visit me in Michigan. We went to go watch a Wolverines game. And for some reason, I don't know what happened with the tickets and the scanners, but there was some issue where they scanned our ticket twice, and me and my buddy couldn't get in. So I told him to go with my other friend, just go in, I'm gonna hang out with my friend at tailgate. It's fine. We'll meet you up after the game. It was weird. We couldn't get in. So we were at tailgating right across the stadium, just hanging out. And that's when I ran into Koontz.
Okay.
Koontz was like, hey, Cada. And I didn't know who he was. And I came over. I'm like, who's this guy? And I just started to go talk to him. It's like, who do you know that, lives here? And I guess his buddy owned both properties right across the stadium. And They were just renting the house. I told him the whole story, and he's like, you need some tickets? And he whipped out a bunch of tickets, all front row, VIP tickets. He had 10 of them. He's like, oh, I don't use these. If you want them, go on. And I'm like, really? You're just giving me person you don't even know front row tickets? So
wow.
These tickets are super expensive. And he's like, oh yeah, go ahead. He's like, I can get in anytime I want. I'm like, who are you? And then sure enough, we just kind of just became friends. And then he was like, oh, you going to the Bahamas? And then we ended up on the same flight, taking the same limo, swapping action. Just, I don't know, now we're friends.
He's one of those guys. Yeah, he's just a positive energy, good things happen, be around, just genuine. It's funny too because how I met him was through a mutual friend, and I had an old card collection, and someone called him. We were talking, so just a random story, and got on the phone. And I was back home visiting a year ago, and then they're like, "Why don't?" It was 10 at night, and I was home visiting my parents, and my wife was with me, and my buddy was like, "Why don't we just take your cards over?" He lives 30 minutes away. I was like, really? I went home, got all my stuff, drove it over. He looked at everything. I was like, yeah, it's just worth like, it was my life collection. He's like, yeah, it's probably worth like $500. I had thousands of cards and like, whatever. And then I saw all his stuff, and then I realized how much I like poker. And yeah, he's a great guy and loves Michigan, and it's a fun industry, that stuff. But I was curious if you collected.
It was funny because when we were tailgating, it was kind of loud. I'm like, what was your name? I put it in my phone. He was like, Jason Koontz. And I'm like, Jason Koon? He's like, yeah, Koontz. And so forever I had on my phone Jason Koon.
Right.
I'm like, man, that's kind of weird. And then I realized it's Koontz after watching the whole broadcast at the PCA.
Yeah, that was definitely confusing for viewers with Jason Koon being a legend. That guy Craig Barnell too. I know he's a very good player. I think he's at a HyperX final table as we speak. The one from Choctaw, which
Choctaw.
Yeah, what's funny? I'd never gone to Choctaw. I went there, one of the years, maybe 2016, and it was a sick tournament, really good value, and I played with him, and I got down to like 12. It was like one of those 1,000, big field, big good thing, and he ended up final tabling again because he knocked me out in 12th, like ace king to sevens, river ace. And I remember it, but I was short. Same thing. Should have had more chips. But he knocked me out, and now I see him back there at that final table in that same place. It's kind of funny how people seem to do well in certain areas. Like, they just feel confident. They run good. They just something about it. Where I have Montreal, used to be mine. I just lost boat to River Royal Flush. But, certain places you use.
That was sick.
Certain places, you feel comfortable and you run good at. But it's all good. Sweet. So let's keep taking questions. That was a very elaborate answer, and that's a great hand. That's a very cool hand and way of thinking about it. How do you prepare for the most important poker event you will look at for the second title? Do you do anything? Do you have a routine, mind coach stuff? Do you meditate? Do you work out before you play? Do you like to be on time? What's your general tournament rundown?
I would always prefer to be on time. There's a lot of times I late read just for different reasons, but I try to get there on time when I can. I don't really have anything in particular that I do differently for preparation for tournaments I'm going to play or tournaments I'm looking forward to. I guess just, take it easy the night before. I never really go too hard. I don't know. I guess I just been playing poker my whole life. Nothing really changes. I guess it's just part of the daily routine, really. And like you said, we all have those places where we run good. And I don't know what I'm going to do next year when they tear down the Rio.
Yeah, man, you might have to sign a petition.
I have to retire from poker. That's the only spot I got.
Unbelievable. Someone else asking about, you seem very relaxed at the tables. You don't seem tilted. How do you measure your tilt? Do you do anything do you have any tricks, or would you say you handle kind of beats and tilt well? Do you have any tricks on that, or if you're running really bad, do you take a break? Do you step away? Do you just kind of accept it? I'm sure we've all had it. There's all spots and things where you get upset.
I think we've all lost our mind in poker one way or another, and including myself, I'm guilty. But I think live is much different for me. It also helps just, the history of live poker for me and just the results I had. And I think it all comes down to just past tournament experience of me being short stacked or me having friends being short. I had a buddy, my friend Dean Hammer, he had one ante with 80-some players left, and he won a bracelet.
I remember that. He's got that club in Lansing, right? Something on the river, Ace on the River.
He did. That's when charity poker rooms actually existed in Michigan, but not anymore. They're non-existent. But anyway, it's just coming back from the dead so many times and just knowing that it's never about how many chips you have. It's just about how it ends. And I do think just having that perspective. Online, it's a little bit different because I think I get tilted. I'm the type of person I get tilted more in the fact of not in terms of dollar or significant spots of losing. It's more of just repetitive loss. So it's if I play heads up and I lose 12 matches in a row, I'll start losing my shit. Just losing that many times in a row or losing that many hands in a row. I think it's more of just the poking aspect of just keep getting poked over and over and over, losing. That's kind of when I kind of lose my grasp. But when I play online, I take breaks. If I'm not mentally there, if I lose a few buy-ins or something like that, and I don't think I'm playing well, I just break. I take a break, walk away, maybe a day off, maybe come back. Just the other day, I was playing at the MSPT, and my buddy's like, "Oh yeah, so and so said you quit them the other day playing heads up." I'm like, "Dude, I quit people all the time playing heads up. If I'm losing and they're up a few buy-ins on me and they have the momentum, it's all right, I'll play you a different day."
Right.
I'm never the guy to hit and run. If I'm winning, I let the sessions go, and I kind of, that's how I do really well on mine. I kind of really cut the losses and, do well when I'm, keep playing when I'm doing well.
That's awesome. And PLO, you like PLO more than Hold'em? I mean, I love the 10K, the 25 this summer. I want to play the 25K PLO. Those are ones you don't miss. You play those ones, right? The PLO live WSOPs.
Yeah, I play the PLO ones. I think I like cash game PLO better. I think I like tournaments Hold'em better, just because I don't know, like just the whole tournament aspect of PLO. There's certain spots, especially around the bubble, that's just like agonizing unless you have all the chips. Like if you're like short on the bubble on PLO, it's like the absolute worst. Like Hold'em, it's almost manageable, but PLO, it's like you're so handicapped on the bubble or like certain like final tables, ICM. So like PLO is just a really different game and tournament strategy than No Limit, especially with no antes and everything, and being 8 or 9-handed versus your typical short-handed cash game PLO action. So I think I like tournament Hold'em better, but I like cash game PLO better.
Okay. Poker Class 333 asks on Twitter, what inspires you to play poker?
I think what inspires me to play poker is just the competition. I've always been a gamer my whole life. Just like I was always into video games. I think a lot of people, that's how you get into poker almost. Transpires from some competitive source, whether it be sports or video games. And it was just kind of like that for me. It was just a different way to compete. And you're just using your mind versus someone else's, really, and just best man wins.
What do you think about Twitch? What do you think about YouTube content? Do you have any interest in streaming? Would you consider that? What do you think for the game overall? How do you feel on that when you see people doing vlogs or on Twitch? Like, do you think it's good, bad, indifferent? And what about you personally?
I love Twitch. Twitch is like, I'm probably on more Twitch than most people. I wanted to actually eventually start streaming. I've been saying it for the last like year or so. I'm going to do it. I keep finding excuses, and I think I might start when I get back from the World Series this year. Just streaming, like me playing online, me playing some video games, just like, interacting with people that want to interact. And I think it'll be fun. I really enjoy video games, watching video games, and just even playing poker. And I watch your stream from time to time and other people's stream. And I'm always watching poker too, the Tritons and other streams and Twitch. And I'm always trying to learn and see what other players are doing and other professionals and just seeing how they're playing certain hands. And it's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. It is fun. It would be awesome if you did it. I would love to help out with that. And especially if Michigan gets legal in the Michigan, it would be pretty cool to have some of those sites, having bigger stuff with the great software. That would be a lot of fun. Help me go back home a little more often as well. I miss being home. Who's the greatest poker player of all time for you? What does that mean to you?
Greatest poker player of all time? I have no idea what that answer is. That's like one of those, like poker is one of those things that's so tough to answer because you don't know who's playing what, when they're playing, how much they're playing, how much people are buying for. Like there's just tournaments. It's too hard. I mean, you have people where you kind of look up to or that you think are really good, but I mean, it's all hearsay. It's all everyone's point of view. It's almost arguing who's the best in a certain sport versus different eras. It's impossible to tell.
For sure. The variance is crazy too in those spots and winning flips or running and some of these guys that have like the God run on and they're great players, but are they better than the other?
It's like you look at these guys, it's like I've known some people online, even like as I moved up through the stakes of 2-4 and 5-10 growing up, it's like there's these guys that were playing 2-4 that I almost thought were much better than me, and I would go to advice, but they just refuse to go to the next level. They don't want to play for that type of risk. Like, hey, we're making this kind of money here. What's the need of? And I can relate in the sense of like where I almost don't want to make the next jump to like I can never, even if I made the main event final table like 2 more years in a row, I can't see myself ever playing those Triton games or those big games. Like it's just like it takes a different type of person and a different mentality of just what you're gunning for in life and what you're trying to accomplish in life and your goals. And it's just it's too hard to say because you just don't know. I have my favorite poker players, the guys that that I like a lot and like watching, and characters that are fun for the game and stuff.
Yeah, give me a couple of those. Like who do you even back in the day, or who do you tune in for if you see they're playing, or you just kind of like think it's fun to watch, whether they're talkative or their style? Like who are a couple that you just enjoy to watch?
I like Schulman a lot. I think he makes it enjoyable to watch the broadcast. Just seems like a real down to earth, cool guy. Just, So I like Nick Schulman a lot. Just like listening to him and just, I don't know. I think Phil Locke has always been entertaining. I'm not saying he's like one of the best players, but I don't know. There's certain players that I just like grow to like over the years, like that are just like good gentleman guys. Like I've always got along with you. You're a Michigan guy too. And then, I don't know. Like everyone always talks crap about Helmuth, but I'm not saying his antics on the table are the greatest, but I don't know. I think he's just a good, genuine dude. And
he is. Helmuth gets a crazy rap. Some of the stuff, just in general. I mean, but he says he wasn't really social growing up. He didn't whatever, and like he's enjoying it where he's at, and he's using his stuff, and he's got a big heart. He's crazy. He does some stuff, but he really is a genuinely great guy.
That guy has never rubbed me the wrong way, even through his antics. Like he just always seems like a good guy when I run into him, like in poker. Like
absolutely, always. I agree with that.
I don't know. Mateos is always impressed. I never really even talked to the guy, but I mean, there's all type of killers out there that are just But I remember doing a couple of hand commentaries of like his heads up, and it almost seemed like he was playing with the whole cards face up. Like I just put myself in his position. I'm like, wow, this is a really tough spot. And he got put into so many tough spots, and it seemed like every tough spot he made the right decision. I'm like, this guy's incredible. And I don't know. I could go on and on naming names. I'm sure I'm forgetting a ton of them, but
no, that's good. That's good. No, it just comes to mind. I mean, of course there are. And Phil Locke may stream on Twitch. I've been talking with him about it. Same kind of thing. He's been interested. That would be. I mean, he would break the internet. Whatever he's playing. I mean, can you imagine him playing Fortnite or Grand Theft Auto or any game with his goggles on or poker? Like it would be. I would be tuning in for that no matter what.
It's nice and enjoyable. I'm sitting at the table. I just have a good time when he's at my table. I laugh. Like play with him in high stakes where it's not didn't even seem like we're playing nosebleeds because he's at the table making it fun. So
yeah,
I like those kind of players.
He's great, man. I love Phil. What was the feeling moments before winning your first ever bracelet? Did your heart almost explode? And do you work with a mental coach? Ask him, please. Someone's asking. So what do you remember when you won? Like what was that? I mean, it's got to be just like out of body, like electric. How was that?
The biggest feeling I remember is like the relief. It was all over. Like it wasn't excitement. It wasn't anything. It was like, thank God it's over. Like no more thinking, no more like pressure, no more like I can just go to bed. Like it's so late. Like I haven't slept in the last like 10 days.
It probably last 3 months, right? Like that feeling of going home November 9, you're like.
Every night I'm either having a nightmare like I'm taking first or I'm taking last. Like every time I went to bed, it was like I was playing the main event in my head. It's like you couldn't not to. It's just for 2 months, you're anticipating the final table, and you're like, man, how do I sleep at night? So it was more of just like, thank you, it's over. I just want to go back home and just go back to my lifestyle and just, it's almost like I want to, shut everyone away for a second, just turn off my phone.
How much studying did you do? Did you set up the table with all the blinds and do practice with friends, any of that stuff, or not really?
No, I just kept playing online, really. I just kept grinding MTTs. I actually, I won I think a scoop second chance during that time. I was over in Europe, and I think I won 1K for like 150 or 140K online. So that was a nice score I had in between the final 9. But I just continued to play online. I didn't really do too much studying. At that point in time, I was so confident. Like I felt like I was literally on the top of the online world. Like I was willing to play anyone heads up at those stakes. Like online, I was willing to play anyone. So it was like kind of sit down and play me. I had a very big ego when I was 21. So it was much different than today. Like back then I thought I was one of the best. Today it's like I don't even think I'm close. So it was a much different time then.
Shit, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to think like that because there is so many amazing players out there, but also the numbers are up everywhere. You see new series popping up. PartyPoker does the Millions Tour. There's the EPTs. There's other stuff. There's MSPTs. I mean, there's so much poker to play, and these numbers just seem to be going up everywhere. So the online, you could argue it's getting tougher. There's this and that, but like the reality is, poker's not going anywhere. And like it could be big card 5 or whatever. What do you call it? Big 5 or 5 card PLO. There's PLO. There's short deck now. I mean, people like to gamble or get some form of gambling. Cards is like, to me, it's just it's such a beautiful game. It keeps the mind sharp. You could play 10-cent 1 cent, 2 cent, or you can play higher if you want. And it's an amazing game, and it's not going anywhere. I just think it's a matter
Yeah, it's
of
the second biggest main event this last year or something. And the only reason there was a bigger one, that was when they had all the satellites where, Full Tilt, Stars, Party Poker. That's when they were running satellites nonstop online. That was Jamie Gold's year, right? That was the only bigger year, I think.
Yeah, 2006, I think, because we were looking at that for the 10 mil or 100 million 10K. We were trying to see how that would work or how it could be done, and it was, I think, 88,700 and something. So it was, that was the biggest. That was pretty sick. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely
I wish the short deck was like a smaller buy-in this year. Like the 10K might keep me from playing it. Like, it doesn't seem like they introduce a new game. They should kind of make it a little bit more friendly for people to pick up almost.
Yeah, it's a little strange. They could throw in another one, like have a 1K or make it a 5K. It's
I think
interesting.
that'd be fun for everyone.
Yeah, that's
10K
it.
is kind of hard for people to jump in at that steep price.
Yeah, and just take a guess on it. Your biggest win from poker, we already know that, the WC main event. Would you rather play one live one or two online, like of equal value? Do you like online more or live? Do you consider it as more your game?
I think I have a better edge live. It's tough. I like playing both. I really do enjoy playing both. There's benefits to both. I like being home all the time. I like just being able to play a lot of tables, being put to the decision, and constantly thinking all the time. Live's a little bit slower. It's really mundane almost, like you're just waiting, and it's a very patient game. And just that's another thing. I think a lot of these online players like playing with a HUD nonstop all the time. You go play live and you don't have that HUD. It's like you're not having that extra tool for decision making, and also just the willingness to be patient. Playing one table is something that you really have to adjust to the live, because it's really easy to get impatient. You're like, oh man, I haven't played a hand in 2 hours. These guys have to believe me, but also you just pick a really crap hand to do it with.
Yeah, I would say online too. I think I struggle a lot. Sometimes too many tables. I play much better with one or two, which makes sense. But some people are built to do 6, 12, 15 without any change. I think playing on Twitch too, it's a little hard to that counts as like sort of several tables. I don't know the exact conversion because you're following the chat, you're trying to explain, talk. Mm-hmm. It's a bit crazy, but I think I'm interested to see the no HUD stuff go on. Some other questions.
I never been back to that point where like before the Black Friday, it was like, full tilt. You could enter some of these tournaments like 4 times. So you could be playing the same tournament 4 times, like multiple entries. So it's like, then you got Stars, then you got this site. So MTTs, you're like struggling to, it's hard not to play like 16 to 20 tables at a time. But now it's like with me not playing on Stars and just playing the US sites and not playing on Party Poker, it's really tough for me to get up to those high table amounts. Like, there's not enough tournaments really for the sites I play on to ever get to that limit of where I'm pushing that threshold.
Yeah, definitely. What is your favorite online tournament format?
I think 6 max. Probably a regular 6 max tournament. Probably my favorite format. I would have to say. Yeah, I think 6 max is I think my favorite, just because I played the most cash games in that. I just like a little bit shorter handed.
And someone else asking, where do you get your motivation for the game after winning the WSOP main event? Do you have a goal, or are you just playing for the game itself? Do you see yourself like you trying to chase Helmy for bracelets? Do you have any total certain winnings? You just love poker? Do you have any kind of goals or things you want to achieve in particular? I mean, do you have any set stuff, or just played and you love it?
No, I just kind of play and love it. I try to stay away from the goal setting, just because it can really burn you out. It can really force you to do things you don't really want to do or comfortable doing. So like even like with the whole player of the year run I had last year, I didn't go to Europe and go play, just because I don't know, it's never been about bracelets or player of the year. It's more about just enjoyment of life. We all grow old quick, and I've played my enough share of poker, and I've almost played too much. Just when I was younger, I really used to abuse certain things like Adderall when I was younger, and skip every another night of sleep sometimes, and just play for long, hefty hours. And, like my teenage years and my younger, like 10 years ago, it's like poker really consumed me. So it's like, now that I have the option of, having the success, I don't need to continue to waste all my hours there every day playing poker. It just seems like there's more things to do.
Absolutely. Which bracelet is the most important of the four? I mean, it's, obviously, I think your first one, the 10K, and winning the main as 21, that's got to be it. So let's just take the second part of that question. How was the feeling of making the final table of the main last year? How did that differ? And what was the biggest difference between the 3-month preparation versus just rolling right into it? Which one do you prefer, and what was the biggest difference in that?
I like the. I wish it was almost a mix of both. I almost wish there was almost 2 days off to the final table. I like playing through though. I really enjoyed that because you kind of you stay in the mix of the game. You stay in the whole dynamic of playing with the players, what they think of you. You don't have that time off. Things don't change as much. So I like the continuous play. This year it was so much different because it seemed like the first year I didn't really have anything to relate it to. It was my first year playing the main. I started off super hot. It just seemed like I coasted, and it just seemed so easy. There wasn't much struggle to it, and I didn't have all those years of busting out of the main and all that failure before that. So this year was really it was a lot different. It was a much different experience being on the final table, and also majority of my hands were covered this year, and people knew who I was compared to when I was 21. So a lot of the hands are more scrutinized, and there's a lot more hands on TV that I'm playing. It was kind of weird because the way I started off the main this year, it's like you start with 50K in chips, and I have so much different action. You know how it is. You have different pieces there, buying different pieces there, have horses. So after the first day, it's like I was down to 10K in chips at one point, and I have horses that have 150K, 180K action over here. And then day 2 and day 3, it's like, okay, all of a sudden my horses start losing chips, and I start gaining chips. And next thing you know, it's like, well, on day 5 or day 6, I'm the last spot alive for myself. And it's just weird because I had 8K in chips, and I'm like, I thought I was going to be someone else's year. And it's just kind of just grind, and just, pick up some hands here and there. And I just played the short stack mostly.
Koontzy's messaging on the side. He's saying, how pumped were you in Koontz final table? And did you have a piece? We know that. We had a little taste there. How exciting was that? Because that was a big purse. That was similar to the main event.
Dude, I get more excited when other people final table. When I have friends in it, it's just so fun, sharing that experience with other people and just watching other people, share that same experience. So I was so excited for him, and hopefully we make more of these final tables. We already talked about other trips, so hopefully me and Koontz and you and others just keep doing this shit.
Are you gonna be? Yeah, man. It just the summer. This one just feels. I think this will be my least playing, but I feel the most excited, and I think maybe it could even work to my advantage, just coming in and out. I also start a little. I'm trying to work on starting earlier. I think starting early is very important, especially in the lower limit buy-ins. Getting there when you're deeper stacked and getting to play. People are making the guys that are making massive mistakes. You get to grab some of those chips and get a head start. I think it matters a lot, and that's something in the last few years I've been kind of taking on a little too much with the vlogging, some other stuff, getting there a little later, and I really want to sort of tweak that and get back to be there early, be there right at the start, and I think that's important in these.
This year, I kind of that's a good thing about State Kings this year. It's so many tournaments in the past and prior years where I'm just I wake up, I'm do I want to play this 1500? Do I want to play this 500? I wait a couple days to play this 5K instead. This is going to be the most poker I'm going to play this summer by far. Selling action, all this 5-10% in all these tournaments, that's going to force me to play all these events. And then there's this other league that Matt Waxman created.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you know Matthew Waxman.
He's one of my very close friends. He's one of my original guys in poker, like him, Tim Begley, McLean Carr. I mean, I've known Waxman forever.
Cool guy in poker. Yeah.
I know him very well. He's a great guy, and this is a very ambitious project, which I think it's cool. Hopefully that works well.
Yeah,
it should be fun.
It's really cool for him to even invite me and be part of it. I like the whole team aspect. So just the whole league and this whole thing in general with Matt, is going to be playing that on the side and all these tournaments. It's going to be really fun this summer. That's
great. Do you have any books? Did you read any? I checked out the Theory of Poker when I started. Do you have any books that you like or would recommend for people? I mean, now it's sort of more software. There's these programs people use to study and stuff, but is there any books that you read or that you like or think are valid that would be valuable for someone to read or to check out?
No, I wouldn't say I got any of my or I didn't really learn too much from books. I think my biggest learning tool was card runners back in the day. Just watching those videos and watching some of the better players. It was kind of funny as I climbed the stakes and eventually, started playing all these heads up. It's some of these guys that are making the videos I find myself playing against. And I've watched 20 plus hours of their streams and videos and mindset and leg up I had on all that after playing these guys. I don't know, it kind of makes me nervous of ever making videos and instructional videos just in case that ever happens. But it was a much different day back then. People didn't hold back either when the instructional videos first came out. Not saying they do now, but
Yeah, that makes sense. Lady Floppy asking, how do you see the role of women in poker world? Do they have the same benefits and opportunities as men? What's your thoughts on the women out there and why maybe so women hasn't still not gotten so popular for women?
I think the biggest reason why it hasn't become most popular for women is just, I guess, the intimidation factor. Women, you know, us, at least some women sitting down and playing with guys, just, you know, being not knowing what to expect, being judged or what guys think of them. And I know my girlfriend, like, she feels totally comfortable playing online, playing on her own, you know, grinding. But it was her first time sitting down live, and she didn't know what people were going to think of her or judge her, or, you know, that factor of it, I think, is a little bit overwhelming for women.
Yeah, it's a little predatorial-ish too. I mean, it's like in general, especially when it's just so skewed, dominated by men that, you know, girls at the table, they're going to get hit on, they're going to get looked at differently. The guys, you know, it can be, you're outnumbered. There's a lot of times you're going to be a woman, you'll be the only one there at the table, and it can be a little bit scary too. In that sense. How has the main event changed your life? Winning the main.
I think it just changed my life in the way of just I don't really have to grind as much poker as I used to. Stress is a lot lower, you know. When you're making that full commitment for poker, it's like you don't know what the outcome is ever going to be. Like I mean, I've always had a good like safety background, and like I've always had good bankroll management, but just that lifelong like goal of like what am I going to do next, and it's kind of fills that a little bit, not completely per se, but it just kind of leg up in a lot of ways of knowing that I'll be more financially stable for my life.
What are your thoughts on crypto in general? Do you believe in long term? Are you a advocate? Do you feel any type of feeling on it at all?
I've always kind of dabbled around the crypto market and the crypto field for a while. It's tough to say. I'm not an expert. It's just like anything else, I guess, in life. Investment opportunities, when it's good to invest, when it's not. I think there's benefits to crypto, of course. I mean, it makes the game we play a lot easier in the market. Like it's the games and the stakes and the websites I play on wouldn't be possible without crypto. I know playing on Bovada and Ignition and ACR, it's almost impossible without, you know, using Bitcoin. And they actually help solve a lot of problems. So when something's solving problems, I know there's a benefit to it. And that was kind of why I put a decent amount of money in or left money in Bitcoin for a while. And I've had a lot of success in the crypto market, thankfully. But I don't know. I'm not an expert. So for all I know, it could totally go down the pipe. But, you know, I have some invested in the crypto. But
yeah. But yeah, it definitely, I'd agree with that. It's definitely conducive for poker for that kind of market. It makes it easy as well with some swaps, transfers, getting people into stuff easily, quickly, not having, you know, it's definitely very relevant for what we do, and it serves a good purpose. At what age, when did you know you could make a living playing poker? I know you talked about this, you were playing online, you put in $50 already. It wasn't like, you know, so it wasn't like the main event happened, oh, I can do this now. You're already a professional already, right? I mean, you were doing it, you were staked, you had a role, you had other stuff going on. I mean, it wasn't the main event. So when was it when you were like, all right, this is actually what I'm going to do?
Probably when I was about 16 or 17 was when I really knew that I was going to be doing poker for most of my life, just because it really started kicking off when I was like 16 or 17. When I was 18, I was able to buy my house in cash and pay it off, and I still had a lot of money at the time. So I mean, before I was even 20 years old, I probably made, you know, 750K playing poker. So it was one of those things I always felt really, at first when I was really winning money, I mean, I didn't quit my busboy job till I made six figures. Like
Busboy, what year was that?
I was 14, 15, 16, 17.
Where were you bussing at?
I was bussing for 4 years. It was called The Gathering Place. And I remember I'd go and make 100, 120 bucks a night, and then come home and win or lose like a couple thousand. At some point, I'm just like, I just had to sit down and have that talk with my mom. I'm like, Mom, I can't keep going to this job. You know, I'm making $100, $200 a night, and I'm coming home and losing a few thousand. It just doesn't seem. I kept that job for so long for my mom's sake. You know, I have the job, let me play my cards. You know, kind of just get off my back type thing. But after a while, it's like I made so much money, I couldn't see myself keep going back to work. So I finally told my job it was time to go, and I just kept playing poker, and then eventually bought a house and just really started grinding when I was in my own house and playing all the time nonstop.
Do you get recognized a lot, and do people stop you, whether it's at sporting events in Michigan or, I mean, obviously at casinos and stuff, it's different, right? Because I mean, you won the main event, and people playing poker, they're gonna know who you are. But like, do you find yourself out at the store getting stopped sometimes? Still, was it a lot then? More so, how does that work? Do you ever you ask for autographs, that type of deal?
It was a lot after I first won, of course. It was kind of weird, too, like, especially going to different countries and being recognized. Like, I would be in England, and all of a sudden at the airport, and someone come up to me. I'm like, well, this is really weird, being across the world and getting recognized. Like, you know, you really see that poker is like a worldwide game. Like, everyone follows it. So that was kind of really interesting, you know, getting recognized in Spain and Europe at first when I first won. But then it cooled off for a while, you know. I'm not a huge face in poker. But then after this last year, the whole television thing, it became big again. And I get recognized in, like you said, like sporting places where there's like a big mass public. You know, one person's bound to recognize me. And then once that person recognizes me, it's kind of like, oh, why is that person asking a picture with that person? So
right.
I guess like sports games is like the biggest thing. And then other than that, like poker rooms or casinos, like walking in the store or the mall or movies or wherever, never really, just really rare. Maybe sometimes the bar is like where people are more open to come up to you. I guess will come up to you and stuff.
Makes sense. All right, we're gonna take two more here, then we're gonna do the giveaway. We're gonna let Joe run. We really appreciate his time. Let's finish these last couple of questions. That was my buddy Bryce Baker, came in the chat, or in the background. Legend just kind of walked in like a phantom. I saw you sneak in there, so he's in. He knows Joe. He knows poker. We're gonna take a couple more. We'll do this retweet giveaway. They've changed how it works, guys. So I'm not sure really how. I'm gonna copy paste this. Let me ask this last couple of questions. We'll get that out. Still not too late to be eligible. They changed it on me, man. I hope we can do it. We're gonna try it. I had a little trouble with this the other day. We do have action. Joe has action up on Stake Kings. I'm going to buy a piece today. I'm actually going to buy it right now. Which one should I buy, Joe? Let's do this together. What should I fire in? Oh, the 10K super. This is always a bid. It's a bid amount.
Yeah, so they're doing I was talking to Stake Kings. I was talking about auctioning off 10% of my whole series, but they'd rather do 5% and auction off 5% of the whole package and then do an auction of 5% of individual tournaments. So I'm selling for the 50K at, I think, even money if 1.03 on there. But I think everything else is auction. I don't even know what kind of price you can get for things right now, honestly.
I don't know.
I have no idea what I'm going for. So
I just clicked in on something.
I could be selling at even money for all I know, honestly. You could be buying my World Series package at even money. I have no idea.
I have no idea what I just did, but I guys put a hundo down on the 10K. I hope it comes through on that Super Turbo. That's a fun one, too. I don't want to miss. Let's do this last one. Let's get these things. Let's ask this last question. We're coming in on 2 hours, which is long, but I feel like we could go longer, but we're gonna Joseph repeat. He's Michigan man. He's a great guy. Give him a follow on Instagram, Twitter, all the good stuff. He says he doesn't really tweet anymore though, so maybe more Instagram. We have his page up here.
Maybe if they change the rules eventually where you don't need your email.
Right.
I mean, I have my name and password. Come on.
If you get your account back, that could help. What is the worst beat you never forget that you even though you want to? I know you told me the Aces, Kings. That sounds like it.
I won't forget that one. I think that's it. The Kings. I was 18 years old. PartyPoker $1 million tournament and down like the final 20 people. And I got in with Aces. The 2 people having Kings. And I lost.
That's insane. All right, I copied this page. We're gonna give 2 $33 tickets. I don't even know how this works anymore, guys. So just bear with me. I'm gonna paste. Just tell me when, Joe. I'm gonna put this in there.
All right. Go ahead.
Boom. There's one. So loading. All right. Someone just won. It looks like. I don't know. This is Class 333 Poker. You just won a $33 ticket. That worked. I don't know how to redo it. Let me see if I can refresh and it'll work. Tell me when again.
When.
Boom. Let's see if I can Let's see if I can do it again here. Oh yeah. See, maybe I just put it in here. All right. We'll count that as a win. Let's paste. My mouse is getting freezy. We're closing in on 2 hours. Let's paste. And so See, it's doing the same person again. I guess I have to like close it. Technology's hard, man. It is hard. Just like when they had it perfectly, they change it. Now nothing works. Let me see if we can do this again. Tweet draw. You ever done these things? These retweet, these giveaways? You ever seen this?
No, but I'm in the mood to give away something right now.
You're in the mood to give away something.
Yeah, you can give away something for me. What should I give away?
Wow, a ghosty giveaway. We could just call it ghosty giveaway and see. Let me give this pace for the second. All right. I mean, I don't understand. I closed it. I did it again. They're not letting me give away something else, man.
How about this? I'll give. Oh, you can't give anything away. I was gonna say I'll give away a 3% free roll in my first tournament, the 10K hyper.
You're giving away a 3% free roll in the 10K. That's a lot. That's 300.
Yeah.
In equity, probably worth more. You're probably like a 2.0 in there or something. It's like 600. We'll call it 500. This is a big giveaway, and we can't, and it doesn't work. So, but we're gonna get it. I'm gonna find a way to make it work.
Give it away.
Let me try this again. Let me just do this. I'm gonna do it again. Can I hit draw? Joe, why is technology hard, man? This is like, let me see. I'm clicking draw. This is crazy. All right, you know what we're gonna do? Fucking A, Joe. I mean, it's just hard. All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it 300. We're gonna give 3% away. I am gonna figure out how it works, and I will. Can you see Twitter? Do you get to look at it? Or you just can't go in there.
Trust me, I'm a little hidden guy on Twitter. Like when you were bringing up the whole like Granu and the police, the market police, I was kind of just giggling because I was reading all that recently. I don't go on Twitter that often, but every so often I like seeing what's going on there, what people are talking about. So yeah, I go on there. I sneak on my brother's Twitter that's signed on my computer.
All right, no. Here's what we're gonna do. You know what we're gonna do? Because I know how to do this. This is gonna be way better. This is gonna be way better. So we just gave away one. We gave away one because it's not a rush. The tournament doesn't start tomorrow. So we're gonna give 3%, which is super, super ridiculously generous of the 10K turbo for Joe Cada. We're gonna do it on my Twitch show tomorrow night because I know I can do it from there. It'll be at the end of the show. I'm giving away $1,650 as well, cash, out of my score from the KO series. We'll do it at the end. You're gonna have to type in Joe Cada. We'll do a special keyword for that, and that will be at the end. So whoever's on my Twitch stream tomorrow, we'll do that. And I'll let you know, Joe, who will get the information, let you know who wins. But there'll be a lot of people. That'll be more people. It'll be more fun. And if you're around or you're grinding tomorrow, you said you might play online. I can send you a message and let you know that it's going down. Maybe we get you on the phone actually and let you click it live. That would be fun. If you're not at anything or winding down, I'll message you if you're free. I'll let you do it. If not, I'll just do it, and then we'll let you know who gets it tomorrow night. How about that?
Sounds good.
So we'll do that. We're going to pick one more winner from the retweet since it's not working as well. We'll do that tomorrow, guys. Thank you for watching. This is Mr. Joe Cada, the legend, two-time main event final table participant, one-time winner in 2009 at 21 years of age, 4 World Series bracelets. He's from Michigan. I'm from Michigan. We got a big, long way to go to catch him, but it's not a race. There's enough room for everyone to do well. I know Ryan Reese. I'd like to get him on here as well. Ryan Reese also pretty. Huh?
So my boy Ryan.
Yeah, he's got a impressive resume. You guys are going head to toe on wins and big scores. Pretty crazy, man. You guys are doing.
He's in a cruise. He already cruised past me, and there's no looking back for him now, unless I final table this shit again.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like at that level, it can fluctuate, but you guys are definitely you got a nice battle going down there. I saw Dan Heimiller just like popped in and called himself Michigan now, so I was number 3, and then he just like. Let me take a look at this before we close off here. Do you realize, is he born there or something? Like, I don't know if you follow that, or I'm sure you've looked at the list before, but he just came in out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I saw him on that list before. I feel like I mentioned to him, I played with him in the closer, I think, this last year in the closer, and I was talking to him about where he's originally from, I think. So I remember seeing like the Michigan list before, and I thought his name popped up on there before.
No, he was never Michigan until maybe a few months ago. Because I remember David Baker and I were battling for 3, and then all of a sudden because he's got a ridiculous resume as well. This guy's older gentleman, and he's got like double me in third and $6 million now. So he had a lot of great scores for a while. I haven't really heard of him as much anymore. But either way, Joe, we appreciate the time, man. Thank you for the 2 hours. This will be on iTunes, Spotify, all the outlets, and we'll wish Joe good luck. We'll have to get dinner at the series, catch up. Maybe when Jason's out there as well, we can all get together. And thank you for the 3% giveaway, which we'll do tomorrow night. And everyone, guys, give him a follow. Check him out. Great guy, great player. All the best, man. Keep crushing, and we'll see you out in Vegas.
Thanks, Jeff. See you there.
Joe
Appreciate
Cada,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And we'll be back for a Daniel Negreanu podcast Monday night. He just left Stars. We'll try to get some info on that. And we'll be we got plenty more podcasts, plenty more action. We got Twitch streams. We got a YouTube video that just released. We're locking the doors, calling a doctor. We're strapped in. We'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks for being here, guys. Have a good night.